You know what I'm a little concerned with? Not concerned. Concerned is probably the wrong word, but like, so we have this whole Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn match that is an unsanctioned match. I'm worried that the majority of the audience doesn't know what sanctioned means, much less what unsanctioned means. Here's the reason. I remember growing up in World Class, always they would say at the beginning, this bout is scheduled for 15 minutes and it is sanctioned by the World Class Wrestling Association. And not until they did an unsanctioned match did I ask my dad. I was like, I don't even know what that means one time. And kind of the comparison was, so you have a football game and, you know, a high school football game, and you got refs out there and you got the band and, you know, the pomp and circumstance. They run through the banners and go out on the field and they do a kickoff and do all that stuff. That's a sanctioned match by the school district. You and your buddies going out on the exact same football field on Saturday morning and having a game is an unsanctioned football game. I was like, I got it. Even at like 10 years old, when I heard that, I got it. So if you don't understand what sanctioned means, I think some people don't know the importance of what unsanctioned means. WWE's hands are off this match. Like, it may be happening in a ring, but it's after hours. This is when we assume that everybody can leave and everybody can go home. Just happens to be there, and we go out there and have a match that there's not a real ref. Maybe it's, and actually, I wonder if they do that. I wonder for this match that they just don't have a referee. That might be kind of cool for a Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens unsanctioned, you know, we presume probably a pretty big beatdown happening on one side or the other, on both sides. Maybe you do it without a ref, because, I mean, what's the point of having a ref if it's unsanctioned?
I think you're exactly right. I think that would be super cool, because that's always something in the past. Like when I hear unsanctioned match, my brain, reaches for the, I think it was Triple H, Shawn Michaels, SummerSlam 2003.
Okay.
They were in an unsanctioned match, and that was one of Shawn's first back after he was gone with his back injury and stuff. And to your point, it's always a little weird because you have an unsanctioned match, but you have an officiant in the ring,
right? With a bell ringing to start the match and presumably one to end it.
Yeah, and that is where it gets weird, because a normal match with pinfall or submission can't necessarily be self-governed, because that's when you get into like a last man standing match or a ladder match where it's a little more, you know, the refs aren't really as big of a part of it. But I think you're exactly right. I will say that in terms of people not knowing, you made a comment about people not knowing what an unsanctioned match is. I think that's why we saw a little bit more of an elongated promo segment between Sami Zayn and Adam Pearce. Is, I think, more than happened in the past, Adam Pearce kind of unrolled that.
He did. You're right.
And kind of laid it out. And now I was kind of half paying attention at the time.
Sure.
You know, with being a fan as long as I have, I can kind of half pay attention and know what's going on, and, you know, whatever this, whatever that. But
you know where to catch the hot spots in it. Yes,
exactly. So, but if you're listening and maybe you don't know what an unsanctioned match is, maybe you didn't catch the show, best thing to do is to go back and watch Adam Pearce's promo, because he's able, actually, he did really well for as short of a time period as it was, to really explain the nuances behind that.
Well, and I think more so is that they don't take the time to say that it's sanctioned, and to have normal sanctioned matches means we're going to hold these matches that are coming up to a certain set of rules, a certain set of time limits. And to be honest, we don't really have either one of those for the most part in pretty much any match anymore. We do, but not like it used to be. And I'm not one to sit here and harp on how it used to be, but if you're going to, they're actually pulling from something that used to be, and that being the sanction. What did that even mean? And to understand that would then lead you to understand what an unsanctioned one is. I even heard Bully and Dave on Busted Open. Bully goes, it's the I'm not really sure what an unsanctioned match is. It's just if you know what a sanction is, it's the unversion of that. And he goes, that's the kind of education you get here on Busted.
Well, and
okay.
and this historically goes to a completely different place in time, because back in the day, it was important that, and I don't know what does or does not happen with this today, but I know I've seen some documentaries where they talk about this, that back in the day, you had to be a licensed professional wrestler, like, and to have a match sanctioned. I'm assuming all of the record keeping had to be in place and everybody had their licenses and all that type of stuff. But you can find pictures on the internet of people like, I think like Hulk Hogan and Bruno Sammartino and different guys like that, where there's like pictures hanging out there of their old wrestling licenses. And so I think this whole topic of sanction also goes back to that there might have been a lot of legal things happening back then that may not happen today, because it's a entertainment product now instead of a sporting product.
Very much so. Hang on a second. This applies. Stand by. Because I just happen to have one. This is my official, for one match only, the Oklahoma Professional Boxing Commission professional wrestler Anthony Lay. This card will expire on 6/30/2003.
That's awesome.
I'm not allowed to wrestle anymore unless I go get this updated, I guess.
Is there like a DMV for wrestling licenses? Do you have to go stand
Pretty
in line
much, yeah.
somewhere?
It was a what I do love about this is, do you know who Danny Hodge is?
No, I don't.
Okay. Old legend in professional wrestling, and more so in catch and amateur wrestling. He was the chairman, and so his autograph is at the bottom of this. And but yes, you would see a shady doctor in a strip mall that would check if you could touch your toes. He would check to see if your ankles would pop out of place and your knees were fine. And then he had me do like jumping jacks, or I was something crazy. And then he goes, "Okay, cool, pass." And hands me a piece of paper. And then I got this in the mail about a week later.
There you go.
Yep. You're exactly right. There you said. So
there you go.
I had a little part of that story. Yeah. Date issued was 7/8/2002. So wow. Dude, 23 years old. It's been out of date. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it was very much treated as a real sport and not sports entertainment. And come to think of it, when I said that they would announce that it was sanctioned at the beginning, they would always say of the National Wrestling Alliance. Mm-hmm. So it was the NWA was the one that sanctioned all of the matches. And it was important for them to say that at the beginning. All that being said, I think that this match it has the potential to be a show stealer. These guys just having a normal match with a ref, with the ringing of the bell and everything else that goes into a normal wrestling match, tear the house down anytime that they take each other on. You even see some clips here and there on social media of them wrestling back in Ring of Honor and how crazy and brutal those were. This one not having any, I mean, I think that either you end the show and then these two guys come out, like AEW does a lights out match. That was the really hot match between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker for the women's title back in the day. And where both of them are just bloody. There's a great picture on a shirt of Britt Baker where their face is just all bloody from that match. But that was a lights out, unsanctioned match. So I guess you can still have a ref, but man, I think for this one, it's just the other guy just can't get up. That'd be a great way to end the match.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really cool seeing this take shape, because I think in the last couple episodes, I mentioned about how well these guys know each other. But I think what's going to be fun about this is the story arc coming into it. Because on times before, the one that I'm remembering most prominently was when Kevin Owens debuted in NXT and Sami Zayn was already there.
Right.
Kevin Owens came out, turned on him, the whole thing. Yeah. That's great. That's fun. That's awesome. I have no complaints about that. But now we have this story arc where 2 years ago, they were main eventing WrestleMania, coming out as tag team champions, right, and then slowly seeing that degrade over time in the Bloodline saga and stuff like that. And we've made comments over the last couple weeks too that Kevin Owens is doing probably some of the most realistic heel work that's ever happened in the history of wrestling. And so not only do we have this long rant to say, not only do we have their ability to perform with each other physically, which in any other podcast that I realize that statement would probably throw some red flags. Wrestling is good, but now we have the story to go along with it.
Yep.
And I'm really excited to let that marinate for another week or two, and then to see that come to fruition, because even though there is a bunch of story to back it up, they've proven they don't need it. And so how much better is it going to be when you can perform and have the story along with it?
Yep. Agreed. Ever wonder how would you really incorporate UFC and WWE together? And well, you take the guys who have been real wrestlers, real fighters in WWE, and make them a part of the UFC. Does CM Punk go back and take another round at trying to do something there? Not quite that. We're going to leave it to the younger guys, like a guy named Julius Creed. He joined Team Cormier on the UFC Ultimate Fighter. DC just named Julius Creed as the coach of his team on Ultimate Fighter. Now, if you remember back, Ultimate Fighter is literally the show that saved the UFC when they were the you know what, swirling down at the bottom of the toilet. This show single-handedly pulled UFC out of that and put them on the track to where they are today, a multi-billion-dollar company. And that show still really, really hot. And it's produced a lot of really great fighters. Julius Creed of Creed Brothers in what is it? Team Alpha? Is that what they're called?
American Alpha.
American Alpha. Thank you. Part of that is legit going to be working in the UFC as the coach of DC's team. So that'll be fun to watch on the Ultimate Fighter this year. Are you liking this? This really, I was going to say unique, but I would say more a conventional way of getting a WWE star involved in UFC?
Oh, absolutely. And I think what's cool is if it unfolds naturally the right way, it could result in a push for American Alpha too. Because if you've got a guy that's, like that has that strong look to him as a coach, of a UFC team, how do you not push him on the WWE side too? And in storyline, we saw Chad Gable tell his crew, like, when I get back, you guys better have some gold. And I think what I'm assuming is that's going to be a start for a big push for American Alpha. They've got it. So the two guys and they call her the Pitbull.
I know, I'm blanking on her name too. I know what you're talking about. Originally I was going to say Maxine Dupree, but she's not part of that anymore. Yes, I know you're talking about that.
Yeah, but anyway, Ivy Niles, there it is. I knew it was on my brain. But she's great. I mean, her match with who did she face the other night? Boy, I'm batting 1,000 today. Anyway, she's been doing great stuff
on Monday or before.
I think it was Monday. Didn't she have a qualifying match, or am I mixing shows up?
No, she did. On Monday, she fought a returning. Now I'm going to blank on this girl's name.
Was it Dakota Kai?
Yes, thank you, Dakota Kai.
Yeah, great stuff in that match. I really like both of them, and neither one of them are being used as much as they should be. Yeah. Maybe in time, but American Alpha is great. I love them. I think they're going to come out pretty clutch here soon. But wrapping all this up, getting back to the original point, yes, this crossover with UFC, WWE, I think it's what we would expect it to be. I think it makes more sense for WWE to go there than for UFC to come to WWE right now.
Yeah.
I think that feels better. But as they slowly start to mix these waters, this feels good.
Yeah, and it's important to mix the right part of the waters. And I think having Julius Creed, legit catch wrestler, amateur wrestler, he and his brother both great amateur wrestlers. And to see him move over, Julius move over, and I say move over, he's still going to be on WWE. He's just going to be a coach for Daniel Cormier's team over there. So that'd be really fun to watch. And at the right time, it'll be the right person that somebody from UFC will come over to WWE and, take on someone. And, right now, I think we just immediately think of another guy. But, man, can you think of the next Ronda Rousey that may jump over and challenge the women's champion? Or, Charlotte ends up winning the title at WrestleMania. Someone, a legit UFC fighter comes over and challenges the Queen. That'd be pretty impressive to see.
I don't want to get too far off track.
Yeah.
But do you know what I would give? Definitely at least a kidney, if not a few other body parts, for there to be like a rehashing of the invasion angle from WCW.
With the right people, it'd be so fun, man.
How sick would that be?
Because it's easy to do.
Doesn't have to be the whole brand. It doesn't have to be all in. It can just be 5 people on each side or something. But
I'm going to
Survivor Series.
I'm going to add another wrinkle to that. What if you had a reunion, or not a reunion, but a remake of The Shield with guys that are in the UFC coming over, playing bodyguards for Punk or somebody like that again. That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be awesome.
Right, we've got not this next weekend, not this coming weekend, the week after, March 1st, we have the Elimination Chamber, and that just gets us, within a month and a half of WrestleMania. Jey Uso has now picked his opponent. It is going to be Gunther, and I love how I'm kind of looking ahead and kind of predictive booking or what fantasy booking. That's what I was going to say. Meant to say. Some fantasy booking here of how they could do WrestleMania the past couple of weeks. Oh, and every match has got to be the main event, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this might be a cool way of doing this, and see what you think. I think this is great because we talked about it in the last episode we did, how it didn't have to be Gunther, probably would be, and why would we want to see Gunther and Jey again when Jey couldn't beat him, all that stuff. But think about this. The past few weeks, I know on Monday they didn't do it, but the past weeks before, they started the show off hot with the entire arena yeeting with Jey Uso. I mean, even the little encore that would happen before he'd start speaking, and because they'd say one more time, start chanting that. What if that's how you start a WrestleMania night? You start with Jey Uso and the whole place yeeting, and then Jey wins the world title. You walk back through the curtain and go beat that.
No,
it might not be it's going to be a great wrestling match. It may not be the best one on the card, but you got to get the crowd higher than that. Have fun.
Yeah, and you're zeroed in on just the thing, because for years it was what's the main event, and then you saw this shift with a lot of WWE's guy going, if you can't be on last, I want to be on first.
Want to be on first, absolutely.
And we've seen a lot of great opening matches the last several years, and I would say that even goes back to the Vince era, where like even on the tail end of that, they were doing really good at booking the show with good opens, and it wasn't always that way.
Correct.
And so you are dead on that would just be a killer way to start. I mean, I would take it a step further and say that needs to start the whole weekend, like
100%. Night number one.
That needs to be how it goes. Now, who knows? I mean, because you got to have your main event for both nights. So is it a women's title? Is it, who knows? They're all 5-star caliber matchups. It's WrestleMania.
That's
so
right.
They're
all the best ones.
You're trying to sort straws, and you really can't. But starting that out, WrestleMania weekend with Jey Uso would be amazing.
You sent me something. It was Triple H sitting there with 2 titles that looked like that they were complete. I didn't get a chance to read it before we jumped on here. What was that post about?
They have now. So we know that WWE is identifying younger athletes as a part of their ID program.
Yeah, sure. WWEID, right?
Yeah. People from the independent scene. Now, to be perfectly transparent with you, I don't know exactly how all that works. I don't know if it's a developmental deal. I don't know if they stay on the indies. I just know that it's a thing. Okay. Yeah. But his post was they actually have WWE men's and women's ID championship now, which is interesting. And the description was Like I don't remember what they said, how they were going to determine an inaugural champion, but that WWE ID championship for both men and women is going to be defended in the independent scene. It's not even going to be on WWE programming.
Wow.
And so mind absolutely blown, because as many amazing things that have happened over the last couple years, we talk about the Forbidden Door, the the partnership with TNA. Over the last couple years, we saw Triple H show up at like Evolve and different stuff like that. To see this happening ensures, not that there was any doubt, but just reinforces in 6 feet of concrete that WWE is not going anywhere, because their hand has reached, I don't mean the bottom as in like a hierarchy, but it has reached all the way down to the beginner level, if you will, and has started to identify people. And it's just awesome. And how cool is it to see a WWE title on the independent scene, that it doesn't matter. Like, it's not stuck to a promotion. You have somebody that can take it to New Japan. You have somebody that can take it to Evolve or TNA, or like, sky's the limit.
You know what to me, in my mind, what it makes WWE is, so first they identified the either territories or schools as WWE IDs. And then now they're going to crown champions in those collectively with these. So there's men's and women's. It looked like there's men's title, women's title. It really is starting to establish WWE as definitively the mothership of wrestling.
Yep.
So yes, you may be over here, but like I mentioned before, that there was the NWA that governed over all of wrestling. It's not, with monopoly laws and stuff, I don't think it's not going to be that, but this allows them to do that without having the ownership of the place. But you own the place when your title's there.
Do you know what I would give to see a legitimate monopoly lawsuit around professional wrestling? That'd be awesome. Amazing.
Well, speaking of, along the same lines as WWID, I mean, speaking of IDing the next generation, LFG premiered on AEW, A&E this week. Yeah, I don't think it premiered on AEW. LFG is Legends and Future Greats, but don't be fooled. That's just for TV. It's let's freaking go. You know what that LFG stands for, but 4 coaches, just impeccable. Booker T, you have Mickie James, you have Bubba Ray Dudley. Yes, it's Bubba because he's back in WWE, and you have the Undertaker. Mm-hmm. Some of these guys have been there a year, and then other people have been there a week, and you're performing, cutting a promo, actually showing what skills in the ring, in front. And even Shawn Michaels said in the very first episode, I don't know what I would have done if I had wrestled like this in front of Harley Race, as I was like, that'd just be... I'd be scared to death, and
if I could interrupt you and pause there for just a minute. People don't put enough stock in, like, to that statement. Take anything. It's like, I'm going to go eat hot dogs with Joey Chestnut. That's terrifying. I'm going to go play baseball with Barry Bonds. That's terrifying. Like,
and he's coaching you to bat, and for your first time ever picking up a baseball bat.
Yeah. What? Like people do not like the gravity of the people that you're standing in front of is an opportunity that you never should have been afforded. Yep. And don't screw it up. Anyway, continue.
It is a combination, though, and I think that Bubba Ray said that it best. It's a combination of what used to be Tough Enough and America's Best Talent. So, or American Idol, or whatever. It's those two things and you put them together. So you have guys that are, they're all there legit for either they have already been training or they're coming into training to be a wrestler. But I think it's crazy that one of them is Evander Holyfield's son, who was amazing in the NFL until he got hurt. He played for the Bagels and for the Eagles. He played for both of those teams and was a great running back. And now he's coming over here, and Bully Ray gave him his first day there, gave him his first pointer was what's going to get you in the door? He's like, my dad's name. It's like, don't shy away from it. Don't make it your identity, but make people perk up and listen when you say I'm Evander Holyfield's son, and then go show what you can do.
Yeah.
And so it's just really good. And they're obviously, all those guys are so honest. You've got the locker room leader with the Undertaker as one of the coaches, and he's going to be yours. That's incredible. There's one I can't right now. I've blanked on her name, but she won a gold medal in the last Olympics in the 2020 Olympics in freestyle wrestling.
Wow.
And you might remember because she had these big blocky glasses on that she would wear, because they like seeing glasses, not just stylish glasses. And she was very recognizable, had like the bear ears, I think is what my daughter calls them, where their hair is like up on each side. And so that's how, she was kind of presented at the Olympics that year and won a gold medal. Now she's over here and she's really good.
Yeah. Really
good. Like better than any beginner should be. But I don't think she has one of these. Which you don't need.
And the cool thing about these shows, if you go through both iterations of Tough Enough, if you go even to other WWE competition shows like the Divas Search back in the day,
right? Yeah,
people do not realize the amount of superstars that were gathered from those. And we're not just talking about winners. Like, if you go back to every WWE competition show, you're going to see a main event player somewhere in these competition shows. For instance, I think Mandy Rose, when she was still with the company, I think she came from the newer version of Tough Enough. And she was she was a multiple time NXT champion, super over. People loved her. And so like, it feels like, it's more WWE content. No, these are literally the people that are going to be on our screens in 5 years. And so pay attention, because this is your opportunity to be a wrestling hipster where you're like, I saw them before they were cool.
That's exactly right. So Sunday nights, and here's the deal. There are 15 episodes and all of them are 90 minutes long. That is a lot of content. 90 minutes long. 15 episodes. This is going to take us the next 14 weeks to get through the rest of them, and looking forward to it, because it is a really, really good show. And especially, I think when they start cooking, like, they don't even have their coaches yet. I think only 2 of them do, one guy and one girl. And so it's going to be very fun to watch over the next few weeks, and we'll talk about it as that show progresses here on this podcast. March 1st is going to be the Elimination Chamber. We'll talk more about that show coming up next week here on the podcast. And anything else we need to hit before we take off?
It's a great time to be a professional wrestling fan.
Indeed it is. For Michael Glavin, I'm the Ant-Man. We'll see you next time on the WrestleChat Podcast.